I know I say this before every episode, but this podcast contains mature subject matter and disturbing content, so listener discretion is advised. The study of psychopathic behavior is relatively new. Dr. Robert Hare is a researcher in the field of criminal psychology at the University of British Columbia. He developed the psychopathy checklist, which is used by law enforcement agencies and courts all around the world to identify distinct traits that only show up in psychopaths, which is a total disregard for what is right and wrong. Some of the things addressed on the checklist are egocentric, lacking remorse, guilt, and empathy, deceitful, glib, and shallow. 0 being normal, and 40 being extreme psychopathy. The average person will score a 1 or 2, while those in prison typically score around a 20. Paul Bernardo scored a 35 out of 40 on the psychopathy checklist. Carla Homolka, 5 out of 40. Eileen Warnos, 32 out of 40. Ted Bundy scored a 39 out of 40. And our topic for this episode, Clifford Olson, scored a 38 out of 40. Not all psychopaths are dangerous, but Clifford Olson was nothing short of a living, breathing boogeyman. Nicknamed the Beast of BC, his bloodlust was only quenched by young girls. On November 17, 1980, 12-year-old Christine Weller of Surrey, BC, went missing. Her body was found more than a month later, on Christmas Day. She had been strangled with a belt and stabbed multiple times. Olson's thirst only intensified. On April 16, 1981, 13-year-old Colleen Danielt suffered the same fate as Christine Weller. Colleen's body was found 5 months later. These are just 2 of Clifford Olson's victims. With a body count close to double digits at this point, what were the police doing to find this unknown monster? Open your eyes and gaze into the abyss as we delve deeper into Canada's crawl space. Comrade.
Going Russian, are we?
Yeah, now it's a Russian podcast.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody.
I hope you're all still alive.
Well,
Hopefully.
I mean, statistically, no.
There's probably a couple. We probably lost a couple.
Somebody died, like now.
Sorry for you all.
So what's up, guys?
Oh, not much. Just drinking beer.
I'm drinking Crown Royal. Sponsorship, please.
Yeah, we could use a sponsorship.
Beer sponsorship, please.
Just send us beer.
Yeah,
We'll be happy.
I would drink beer.
No Bud Light.
I drink Bud Light.
Bud Light Apple, Bud Light Lime.
Yeah.
I would drink either of those.
Anheuser-Busch has a lot of actually like craft beers they bought up, so we could get something better out of them.
Well, couldn't we just get something like a variety pack? Like get 3 cases of beer?
Bud Light.
Because then everybody's happy.
Horse piss.
Not regular Bud Light.
Oh, what?
I would do a Bud Light Apple.
A Bud Light Apple?
Yeah.
Oh, like the... Yeah, oh, yeah.
That stuff gives me heartburn.
Well,
I mean...
You get the Bud Light Lime then.
Yeah, Bud Light Lime is all right.
Beer gives you heartburn?
Just Bud Light Apple.
That's how you know you're getting old.
I don't know. It might be the acidity in it. I don't know. Maybe my stomach acid's already like super strong, so it's like
that's too much
Super
power,
tough.
Sean.
it's too much power for one stomach.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question.
Shoot.
And I would have assumed that this was self-explanatory and common sense, but I learned a couple of days ago that there are a lot of people that see this another way. Is marijuana a drug?
I would say so.
I got some hang-ups on that. I think it's mostly medicine.
It works like a drug, though, but the medicine's drugs.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and that's.
But are we talking about? Because it's still technically in the standard as like same level as cocaine and heroin.
Well, we're not talking about prohibited substances or classified scheduled drugs. We're just talking about drugs, like the definition of a drug.
Oh, then yeah, more than likely, I would say so.
Yeah. See, I discovered that a lot of people are retarded when it comes to that subject. They're like, marijuana is not a drug; it's a herb. It's not a drug, it's medicine. And it's like, you know what else is a drug and medicine? All medicine.
Yep. Caffeine is a drug.
Yeah, caffeine is technically too.
Caffeine's a drug, alcohol's a drug.
Yep.
And then you got like your basics. And then they're like, well, no, it's a plant. If you were to remove all of the THC, then it would just be a harmless plant. And it's like, you must realize that like almost all of our medication is sourced from plant material. It's like,
What? It's been synthesized now. But
like we started fucking eating plants and boiling them in tea and shit as medication.
Hey,
it's not like.
Cheers to all the millions of people who died testing the plants, like the gatherers and.
Well, I would hope it's not millions.
Like over the years,
think about it.
I'm gonna eat this and we'll see if I die.
Yeah, or if I get better. Yeah. Well, you could be right over the years because there's a lot of plant life out there, and they all have different properties.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Think about it, like it would be way back to like even starting with like hunter gatherer.
Oh, you'd get fucked right up a lot. Just imagine the first fucking weird little cave troll that ate mushrooms.
That's how he became the not cave troll.
That's how we created fire at that point.
That's how God was created.
Yeah.
Because guaranteed God came out of some kind of psychedelic.
I'm so high.
Well, like there's the thought that the burning bush was somebody high looking at a fire.
Oh, I'm sure like Sean said, I'm sure most religion is based on being completely fucked up.
Well, there's so much of it's like shamanistic, where it is like that. That's how you get in touch with the universe, is ayahuasca or take some mushrooms.
Jumping into that, how do you guys feel about Ouija boards?
They just seem dumb to me.
Do you believe in it?
No.
I'm the person that's always wanted to, but never really experienced like a real one.
You would also be surprised
real.
how many people believe in Ouija boards and believe that they open portals to another world. And
I've listened to some podcasts where they talk about they have like a supernatural guy on, and they brought him on because they wanted to use a Ouija board, and he's like, "I'm not touching that thing." I was like, "Wow."
Well, it's a board with the alphabet on it,
and yes or no when
and yes or no. So where's the connection there to opening a fucking portal? You know how you put magnets on your fridge with the alphabet?
It's that eye in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to look through it, and then you're supposed to see the other side.
Well, it's you put your hands on that, and nobody's supposed to be directing. It's supposed to be the spirits are directing.
Somebody's totally directing it every time.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
I just don't. I'm between not believing that marijuana is a drug and believing that Ouija boards open portals to hell. Like, this was a weird week for me mentally. I was like just completely perplexed by all of this.
You need to get high.
No.
Come on.
If I got high,
It's not a drug.
I'd end up on the
vape-
other side of the fence.
I have a vape pen right there.
Now that I'm high, all I see are demons.
You don't see
That's
shit
a
off of
Monopoly board, Corey.
marijuana.
What's that?
That's a Monopoly board.
I've seen enough movies knowing that if the board is really old and you don't know exactly where it came from, it's probably haunted.
It's
probably real.
like the sheer amount of people that are convinced that shit exists, and like it is mind-boggling. I swear.
I think it has to do with like experiencing it. Like you've experienced like hauntings.
Yeah, but I mean, I also don't believe in demons and shit like that. And I mean, I think the more you believe in something, the more real it becomes, I guess, in that sense. And if you expect something to happen, then it will. That's how like voodoo's supposed to work. Mm-hmm. If you just go up to random Joe and fucking stab a doll in front of him, nothing's going to occur. But people that
Man, you're weird.
But you're gonna wish Joe fell down.
people that genuinely believe if you go up to them with like a voodoo doll and you pinned it, they'd like fucking freak out.
Grab some hair of theirs and
Yeah.
wrap it around and then stab them.
Yeah. And people like like there was a hoodoo stick, I think it was, and it's like just the sheer thought of that stick, seeing that stick and the properties it was supposed to have, it would like scare people to death. Like
I can believe that. Like, I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast where he's talking about like these martial arts masters that can knock you down with a finger or whatever,
Yeah.
and he can do that to their students because they believe it and they can do it. Then he goes and tries that on somebody else, and he's just like, well, he hurt his finger.
Well, there was that old video there where that mixed martial artist faced off against one of those guys
Just dominated
and
him.
just completely destroyed him. Yeah. Because the guy's like trying to push energy his way, and the guy's like, "What the fuck you doing?" And just punched him in the face.
You don't get to use Kamehameha unless you know how to use Kamehameha.
The mind is a powerful thing, and if you don't use it right, you could fuck yourself up for life.
Yeah, agreed.
This has been Learning with Corey. All right, guys. What are we talking about today? We are talking about Clifford Olson.
Oh, so you get to answer your own questions now.
Yeah. Nobody jumped in right away.
Yeah, Jesse.
Taking care of the lulls. All right. Yeah, you guys want to get into it then? We
Yeah.
haven't introduced or anything. This is Canada's Crawl Space. I'm Sean.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Corey.
Fuck. Okay. That's
One of
good.
these days, I swear we'll do it right.
We'll get it. We'll get it. I mean, people forget. I remember this time.
It's harder than it sounds, okay?
All right. Let's get into the background. Clifford Olson was born January 1st, 1940. He was the oldest child of Clifford and Leona Olson. He grew up in a small house.
I'm
near-
going to interject here real quick.
Okay.
I've noticed a pattern with these people being named after their fathers.
Yeah.
Don't name your children
And then
after you.
and then Clifford Jr. named his son Clifford III.
Did he change his name? I hope so.
Yes, yes.
I think it's changed it to Stephen.
Yeah, that's what I
Perfect.
read. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yep.
the right move.
Because I don't think I actually put that in exactly.
Because I believe
So-
Robert Picton was his father. Also, Robert. It was somebody in that
I don't remember now.
range.
That was our second episode.
Years ago.
Years ago. Not
Last-
even
a year
ago.
already.
I remember that time.
I know that.
But we don't.
I know that
Not
we've
at all.
had that in the past, though. Like I've seen that before,
Yeah.
naming their children after themselves, and it never ends well.
Wasn't John Wayne Gacy named after his dad?
Oh, he probably was.
We'll just go with it. Yes. Yes, he
Yeah.
was.
I think we found an interesting correlation that nobody's mapped yet. We should actually look through this. And
Also, the media likes to put three names, likes to give them their middle name sometime too.
Because then when they're fact checking, it's not somebody going,
Yeah.
"Oh, this guy is a killer," when he's actually not.
It's
Yeah.
just some random dude. All right. Olson grew up in a small house near the Pacific National Exhibition grounds. Clifford Sr. delivered milk and was one of the last people to be driving a horse-drawn carriage. He later worked in construction and as an apartment building manager. Leona was a housekeeper and had two other sons, Richard and Dennis, and a daughter named Sharon. When the war ended, the Olson family moved to the newer suburb of Richmond. Clifford Sr. had this to say of his son's school life, quote, anybody want to do a voice?
he was always getting into fights and getting beaten up. One day he said, "Dad, I'm going to learn to be a boxer." And as soon as he did, he began making the rounds of the boys who were beating him up and started evening the score.
That was awesome. All right, we're going to do that from now on, I think. And so Clifford had a criminal history. He began skipping school when he was 10.
Not illegal.
Not illegal, not that part.
Fucking should be.
After finishing grade 8, he quit altogether,
Also not illegal.
which is weirdly similar to Robert Picton. He was 14 or so, right? when he
Another
dropped out?
BC
Yeah. What's
serial
in the
killer.
water? What's in the water, British Columbia?
drugs.
Fucking
Yeah.
just worry about
Lots.
graduating.
He was a loner by nature and was jailed for the first time on July 19th, 1957, when he was 17. Over the following 24 years, he gained nearly 100 charges, which included obstructing justice, possession of stolen property, possession of firearms, forgery, false pretenses, fraud, parole violation.
He's done too many crimes.
Impaired driving, theft, break and entering, armed robbery, escape from lawful custody, rape, sodomy charges, gross indecency, and finally first-degree murder. He escaped from jail 7 times.
There's a thing I found. There was a guy that was one of the co-founders of the Toronto Sun, interviewed him while he was in jail. And he was interviewing him in the Kingston Penitentiary. And one of the times he met with Clifford Olson, they found a key in Clifford Olson's butthole that he was going to use to try and escape.
Jesus.
He probably just liked it.
just like
the feeling.
I like the feeling of the key up there. It goes right up there and just unlocks all the pleasure.
Yeah, it just turns the lock in my heart.
So one time he escaped in 1965 while serving a 3.5-year prison sentence in the BC Penitentiary for break-in, entering, and theft. Olson fled 3 guards who were taking him to the hospital after he faked an illness. The chase involved dozens of police officers. At one point, Olson slipped through their grasp in Vancouver's East End by only seconds as investigators closed in on him. He spent that night hiding under the Queensborough Bridge in New Westminster. After a week on the run, Olson was sniffed out and recaptured by Tiger, the police dog, in Blaine, Washington. He made it across the border.
Wonder where Blaine is.
Yeah, I didn't actually look it up. I made sure it was in the U. I hope there's no area named Washington, is there, in BC?
No,
Okay,
Washington State.
Yeah. Border Patrol called for assistance when a report came in that Olson had scared 2 teens with a gun in a wooded area that straddled the international boundary. Officer, did I just say boundary?
You said boundary.
But did I say it with a drawl?
If you did, it was worth it.
Nice. Officers from 4 different forces were involved in those final moments leading up to the capture of the then 25-year-old fugitive. Chief Border Inspector A.D. Brandon said,
You want to take this one, Jesse?
Go for it, buddy.
He just have lain there in the 3 hours with 50 people
In the leaves.
crossing
There in the leaves.
right through there, but the dog went straight to him.
Jesus Christ. That was the second time Olson had been caught by a police dog. So a year earlier, he was sniffed out of a thorny tangle of Richmond blackberry bushes by a police dog named Rinty. I'm glad these police dogs were named.
Yeah, and they felt the need to put them.
Yeah,
They're fucking police officers, okay?
they have names, okay?
You give them respect.
Died one day before retirement.
Yeah. Olson was freed under mandatory supervision 5 times in the 70s, and each time he would wind up behind bars again. He was released in January 1980, and of course, continued his lifelong crime spree. What do you say?
Well, there's a thing the psychopaths or the serial killers thing, they generally say when they start killing, it's far earlier in the year or in their life or whatever. And I read a thing, his wife thinks that he killed a prostitute while they were vacationing in California in like 78 or something. So that may have been his first murder. She can't prove it, but she thinks.
Thinks it might have happened. He probably went missing for a little while.
Did he have prostitute blood on him?
Yeah, he did come back with like red on him.
Clifford, is that prostitute blood?
No, my pen leaked.
No, he said he cut himself changing a tire or something.
Jeez. Didn't show her the cut.
It healed really fast. He's Wolverine.
Wolverine.
You know I got mutant powers, baby.
November 17th, 1980, Christine Weller, 12, was strangled with a belt and stabbed repeatedly. Her body was found on Christmas Day. On April 16th, 1981, Colleen Marion Danielt, 13, vanished. 5 months later, her body was found. On April 22nd, 1981, Darren Todd Johnsrud, 16, was abducted and killed. His body was found less than 2 weeks later. On May 19th, 1981, 16-year-old Sandra Wolfsteiner was murdered. Thirteen-year-old Ada Anita Court was murdered in June 1981. In July 1981, 6 more murders took place. Simon Parrington, 9, was abducted, raped, and strangled on the 2nd day of the month. Judy Cosma, a 14-year-old from New Westminster, was raped and strangled a week later. Her body was discovered on July 25th near Weaver Lake. Raymond King II, 15, abducted on July 23rd, raped and bludgeoned to death. Sigrund Arndt, an 18-year-old German tourist, was raped and bludgeoned 2 days later. Terry Lynn Carson, 15, was raped and strangled on July 27th. And Louise Chartrand, age 17, the last victim identified, died on July 30th, 1981.
So in 1980, Vancouver was a very provincial city. Newspapers from other provinces would take days to arrive in the city. The lower mainland was patched with municipalities and a jumble of different police jurisdictions. The different RCMP detachments and civic police, probably civil, that was probably supposed to be civil police.
Oh, no, civic.
Civic?
Yep.
This is civic.
City
Okay.
police.
Gotcha. I'm a little tired today. That's
And
what I'll
high,
say.
I bet.
More than likely, yeah.
Okay.
And civic police forces did little to coordinate with each other. Also, I'm reading from these real tiny words.
That's my fault.
The font is small.
I thought you said you had lots of paper.
I did. I just don't have.
He just didn't
Make it big.
Yeah. Where was I? A few months after being released from prison, Olson met and seduced Joan Hale, a divorcee who had survived a violent, abusive marriage. They had one son in April 1981.
I have a story that takes place just before their son was born.
Yeah, you want to tell it? Yeah.
So it was like 3 months before that. There was a 16-year-old girl named Kim Werbecky. She told police she had been brutally raped and assaulted while getting in a car with the man who promised her work washing windows in Whistler. She had managed to escape from the car and locked herself in a service station washroom. From hundreds of photographs, Werbecky identified her assailant as Clifford Robert Olson, and police charged him with rape, buggery, and gross indecency, plus 2 counts of possession of a weapon. Olson told police that Werbecky was a prostitute and a liar, and at the time, he was believed. Olson was still remanded into custody and spent 3 months awaiting trial at Burnaby's Ocala prison farm. But in 1981, a young girl who had dabbled in prostitution was deemed to be an unreliable witness. Crown Counsel stayed the charges, and Olson was eventually released. The day he got out of jail, his son was born.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 3 days after the ceremony, then when they were married, Olson murdered another teenager as a little gift to himself, I guess.
Probably was.
Yeah. That was,
Is buggery still a charge?
I think the Liberals are actually trying to get anal sex so it's no longer a thing, or maybe it's anal sex under 18 is no longer a charge. I don't know. I know in some states it still is.
Is that what buggery refers to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Sodomy.
that was sodomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buggery and sodomy coincide with one another?
I think so.
And
There's something going inside
and
of something else.
Buggery is, I'm pretty sure it's from the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
okay, that would
I
make
looked it
sense.
up because I didn't know what the hell buggery was. That's why I changed the one to sodomy charges.
And you stopped saying bugger me.
Bugger. Maybe that's why it's called that. Buggery, bugger me.
Hey, bugger you, okay?
All right. So Joan said she had no idea that Clifford was this monster and presented herself as a victim at the time. Olson lived off of her divorce settlement and also abused her. From January 1980 until August 1981, Olson stalked, tortured, and killed at least 11 kids. He sexually abused many others. In the newspapers, Olson was referred to as the Beast of BC and the rent-a-car killer because for each murder he would rent a different vehicle so as not to leave a trail back to himself.
His wife actually referred to that. She's like, I'd never seen someone who vacuumed their car more, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day.
Jesus.
And he's like, well, I got to because it's a rental. I don't want to lose any money from it.
Wow.
But getting rid of evidence.
Yeah. Before he was caught, neighborhoods that had claimed to be safe enough to leave the doors unlocked to houses began locking up. Less people would be in the highway or on the highways hitchhiking because of the terror that Olson inflicted into the province. He had a standard routine, like many other serial killers, to lure and kill his victims. He would meet them in video arcades and other places where the youth would hang out. Sometimes he would advertise for them on bulletin boards in the People's Full Gospel Church, which was a Baptist congregation where he and Joan would attend Mass. Olson would hand out flashy 3D cards that identified him as a construction contractor. Under the guise of conducting a short, informal job interview, he would choose his victims. He would dangle the prospect of a job in front of their faces and give them a ride to a fake construction site. On the way, he would offer them a congratulatory sip of a drink. As George Costanza says, he'd slip them a Mickey, which was a drink spiked with chloral hydrate, a knockout drug. More than once, he would use his I said the George Costanza, nobody laughed.
What you were? Why don't you guys fucking laugh at that? That was hilarious.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about serious things here. More than once, he would use his victims as sadistic experiments. This is where it gets a little graphic. He drove a 3-inch spike into one child's head. Another he injected with an air embolism. He talked about these children more as science experiments rather than human beings. He fantasized about fame under the name Silver Hammer Man, which was a reference to the Beatles song.
That's another thing. Charles Manson was obsessed with the Beatles as well.
Yeah. What do the Beatles know that we don't? Or what do they cause people to do?
They're just evil. That's all it is.
Olson would scatter the remains in the marshlands and cranberry fields of the lower mainland of the Fraser River to the abandoned quarries and canyons of the coastal mountains.
He was also accused of necrophilia with some of the bodies, which is... Yeah.
I'd believe it at that point.
Being a lifelong criminal, Olson had honed his awareness of police procedures. He randomly picked victims from a similarly large area of the lower mainland, so the lack of police coordination between regional police departments and the RCMP worked to his advantage. When scared and distraught, parents first complained about police inaction and to speculate about the chance of a possible serial killer being on the loose, investigators downplayed their fears. They insisted it was likely the teens had all just run away from home. All 11.
That seems to be like, but well, back then especially, yeah. That was the go-to, right?
And people always hitchhiked in BC for years. I'm sure it doesn't happen as often now. Maybe it does. I don't know. I've never been to BC.
Think it's... Well, I mean...
gross generalizations. I'm sure it doesn't happen anymore.
Well, there's the Highway of Tears and everything,
I was going to say,
so
there's still a lot of active
girls
serial
probably
killers.
don't, or hopefully don't.
Yeah. Telephone poles were riddled with posters warning that nearly a dozen children were missing and a killer was on the loose. It took detectives an agonizingly long time to link disappearances that occurred in different jurisdictions. Finally, as the missing children numbers turned into double digits, even the police were forced to acknowledge the obvious. A serial killer was terrorizing the province. At the peak of the investigation, more than 200 officers were committed to the case. The pressure on the police to find these missing children and the perpetrator was fierce. The media coverage fueled the public. Sometimes I feel like I'm reading, like I'm recording, like one of the clips. Just like going through the information, just getting it all done. Fierce. That's what made me think. Anyways.
Put some inflection on your voice.
Yeah. The media covered. No, that's not right.
Well, that's even worse.
I could do it like a newscaster.
At 6 o'clock tonight, the media coverage fueled into a frenzied storm.
Just wait. The media coverage fueled the public into frenzied storm with...
You sound like the
Into a
news guy
frenzy
off the Muppets.
Yeah. Oh, cell phone.
Oh, that's
Sorry.
a big no.
Anyways.
And he sat down on a bed.
Hot summer helps sleep. Oh, yeah. Into a frenzied storm with headlines such as Cunning Killer with Blazing Eyes and Hot Summer Helps Slayer Elude Police. A later inquiry identified many problems with the police response to the missing children and killings. It recommended various independent police departments join together in the use of the RCMP computer, because back then they probably just had the one. It's like 1980.
And it was as big as a room.
Yeah,
And it had Oregon Trail guaranteed.
more than likely. And Jesus would always drown. That happened to me every time.
You just kept
I would name a
guy
character Jesus, and he would always end up drowning when I'm trying to forge across the river. I thought I had it in the bag with that, you know?
I think I just named them after friends and then like people I didn't like so much so that when they died I didn't feel so bad.
You died of dysentery.
I was just going to say that.
I'm glad you're dead.
Shit yourself to death.
So yeah, the RCMP computer, the establishment of a central data bank, and a review of RCMP procedures for handling multi-jurisdictional crimes. That was all supposed to be in the inquiry. Even with this recommendation in effect, 2 decades later, the lack of integration among lower mainland police agencies would remain a problem and be blamed as a contributing factor in the downtown East Side missing women case, which was highlighted by a serial killer we have already gotten into, Robert Picton. Pork Chop Rob. We're just on the same level here, Jesse.
We are.
Just
We are. Especially me.
When Olson was finally arrested in August 1981, he didn't look like the picture that people had in their heads as the Beast. He stood 5'7", weighed about 160 pounds, and sported a mop of messy brown hair. On August 12, 1981, Olson was arrested on suspicion of attempts to abduct 2 girls. By August 25th, he was charged with the murder of Judy Cosma. Even though they had him in their grasp, the police had little evidence against him and only 4 bodies, which led to one of the most controversial deals made between police and a suspect in Canada.
Only
maybe the
4
world.
bodies.
Yeah, but there was still how many other missing people?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you'd still think 4 bodies would be enough.
Well, it would have been enough to get him behind bars, but then what if he closed up and didn't talk about the rest?
Yeah.
Then all those families don't have... Anyways, let's get to the deal.
With the devil. It's the second time we've dealt with deals
Yeah,
with the police that have not turned out great.
not very good at all. During his interrogation, Olson offered to lead police to the remains of the children who hadn't been found. He also said he would return some of their jewelry and clothing, which he had kept as souvenirs. Tapes of the interrogation sessions, notes from investigators, and later reminiscences provided a vivid, if unsettling, picture of what happened.
I'll give you 11 bodies for $100,000.
You want $100,000 for 11 bodies?
Yes, and you will get statements with the bodies. I will give you all the evidence, the things only the killer would know.
Well, just a minute. We would have to work something out. I wouldn't just pay you $100,000. You could rip us off. Also, I have to have something to tell or show my bosses that you are credible.
Okay, I'll give you a freebie. I'll give you 1 body and a statement. You have the $100,000 in cash. When we are finished at a scene, I will phone or you will phone your man, who will then hand over the money to Joan. Then you can talk to your man, and I'll talk to Joan. Make sure that she has the money. Then we'll go on with the rest.
What if your lawyer doesn't go along with it?
Like I told you before, he works for me.
The killer dictated his proposal, and the detective wrote it down on a single page in a sloppy, longhand scrawl. The page read, "This is an undertaking of an agreement between the RCMP and Clifford Robert Olson. The following will be paid by the RCMP to Mrs. Joan Olson for the following information. $10,000 cash for each body of missing persons up to 7 bodies. $30,000 for information of 4 bodies which have already been recovered, which relate to the above 7 other missing persons. The agreement should be as undertaken shall be binding in law
as to not disclose this information in this agreement to the Canadian press. The following missing persons are covered in this agreement: Judy Cosma, Darren Johnstrud, Raymond King, Simon Partington, Ada Court, Louise Chartrand, Christine Weller, Terry Lynn Carson, Colleen Danielt, and Sandro Wolfsteiner, and one unidentified female, Sigrund Arndt, a German student tourist police weren't aware was missing. $10,000 will be paid to Mrs. Olson up to a total of the recovery of 7 bodies. Later, he called his wife, Joan.
Hello? Honey, you're gonna be rich.
Ryan played a pretty good girl right there.
That was him, yeah.
I thought that was a girl.
Yeah.
Wow, damn.
He did great. All right, so that's a fucking shit ton of weird exchange right there.
I'll say that $100,000 in 1981 would equate to $254,457 in today's inflation.
That'd be all right.
Yeah.
That's what it's fucking telling me right here. I don't know. Percent change, 154.46%. Number of years, 36 years. Average annual rate of inflation, 2.63%. CPI for first year, 51.6 in November 1981.
I don't understand any of these, these things.
I'm just telling you guys it's legit information. Okay?
Oh, I understand. I believe you.
Well, you don't understand, but you believe him.
All the other stuff I don't understand, like
I understand, but I
CPI,
don't
whatever all
understand.
that stuff was. All the abbreviations and stuff.
You know,
Don't get it.
CPI is Consumer Price Index,
Oh, okay.
which also means nothing, but Google it.
But now
Google
you know.
it.
Learning with Corey.
Learning. Yeah, there's another episode of Learning with Corey.
Do. Now you know.
All right. Oops, I'm hitting the microphone. Olson's family received the money. In exchange, they guaranteed a first-degree murder conviction, which in turn would ease the anxiety of the parents whose children were still presumed missing and would dispel the terror that gripped British Columbia. Not to mention end an extremely expensive police investigation. Joan refused to return the money Olson had extorted from the Attorney General at the time, Alan. There we go. Alan Williams. Williams' handling of the pact eventually ended his career. The investigation of Olson was one of the first cases of a serial killer in Canada's history. It was heavily criticized because he was able to kill over and over again, even after detectives identified him as the prime suspect. So I couldn't find anything about them, like...
Investigating him during the killing?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
couldn't
either.
find anything like about that, but... I mean... Yeah, because they didn't bring him in until he... I think I get to it later. Maybe.
Well, it said they abducted the 2 girls.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I did say that already. I've been doing this for 2 days straight almost. Where am I?
Olson had a reputation.
Olson had a reputation as a rat and at first was seen as a resource and not a suspect to the police. He had this reputation because in 1976, while incarcerated, Olson was stabbed 7 times by a gang of prisoners who were pissed when he betrayed them and identified prison drug couriers to the authorities. He also gained enough information, which he provided to the police, to ensure the conviction of a fellow inmate who raped, mutilated, and strangled a 9-year-old girl.
So he's not all bad.
That's just the definition of a hypocrite right there.
I was going to say that.
No, he's like, no, I want to be the only one known for this.
Yeah. Olson's deal made the front page of countless newspapers across the country, but none of it was addressed in BC.
Like, well, just keep this hush-hush.
The Attorney General had personally made deals with publishers and local TV stations to not reveal the pact. They censored information in the House of Commons whenever it would come up.
I mean, the deal was strictly financial. It had nothing to do with his actual sentencing, though, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, $100,000 to give closure to 10 families is what they were looking at.
11?
Well, they were looking at $100,000, $10,000 per up to 7, and then
He gave
30
them a
for 4.
freebie.
30 for 4, right? Yeah. I mean, we've made worse deals. I mean, just recently we fucking paid somebody $10 million for getting tortured after committing terrorist acts. So, I mean, paying $100,000 to give closure to families.
It's still like you're paying him though. Like it's like you're paying the
He's
killer.
he's not seeing the money.
That was
going
a
on.
good deal, seeing as the guy was seeking $20 million and was going to win.
It was a great deal. He could have got more.
Well, and
I
he
mean,
could have.
Yeah, you're right. He could have. But
Had they settled earlier, he would have got less.
And he was stuck in fucking Guantanamo.
Domino Bay, Guantanamo Bay.
That place for fucking years being tortured. And
Well, that's fucking
pissed on
good.
and
He
shit.
should have stayed there. Like, now we got Joshua Boyle here committing all kinds of crimes. And I mean, you go to the Middle East with your pregnant wife backpacking near a terrorist hotbed, and you get captured and held captive.
Well, they thought it was one of those bed and breakfasts that like do the reenactments and stuff. They thought it was all role play.
And then we're like, hey, welcome back to Canada, guy. Just fucking settle in. Have a blast. And then it's like, Joshua Boyle is now charged with fucking 15 counts of all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, that's right.
I liked my family when they were in the cage better.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like it's not as bad of a deal as we've made in the past year and a half. We've made it worse.
I can agree with that, but still, it's like you're rewarding him.
Yeah.
Well, you are. You're rewarding him for identifying the location of these victims. But at the same time,
I say something about this later on where it puts it into perspective a
yeah,
little bit.
if I was one of those members of the family looking for the body of my child, it would be priceless, right? In that sense.
But they're not happy about it either, though.
Yeah. We'll get to that. I have that all written in here.
Well, what just keep my fucking dead kid's body hidden. I don't give a fuck. Just don't pay that goon.
I think there's a little more to it than that.
Let's continue on.
So everything was being censored in BC. What was front page news in Edmonton or Toronto was just a small blip in British Columbia. Even Olson's lawyer Shantz didn't agree with the deal, stating it was being improper, saying, "You want to read that?"
Yeah, I do want to read
It's
it.
right at the bottom there.
I think it was politically insane, and I do not approve of it. We all know police pay informants, but I don't think they should pay the culprit.
That was his lawyer saying that.
That was a good lawyer voice, eh?
That was like a really good lawyer voice.
I wouldn't trust that lawyer. You're not winning shit for me.
Oh, gee, Judge, do you have to do it?
You don't have to be so mean to my client.
Why is everyone yelling? So no one in British Columbia wanted to be blamed for violating Olson's right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty before the trial. Once the deal was all worked out and signed by everyone it needed to be signed by, Olson led police to the burial places of the other missing children. He rode in the back seat of the car with 4 detectives, followed by a canine unit. Behind them, 3 to 4 other vehicles followed, carrying forensic specialists to handle the crime scenes. The killer wore a regulation RCMP hat as a disguise and dictated as they went, describing the locale and circumstances of each murder. He would describe the terrible occurrences like a sports announcer would describe a baseball game. Radio broadcasts were updated every hour, giving gruesome details about the search for more bodies, which provided a ghastly play-by-play. Newscasters featured scenes of excavation teams draining suburban wetlands. Olson liked the forested hills around Weaver Lake and the peat-filled bottomland north of River Road for disposing of his victims. One body was mummified by the time it was found. Others were so badly decomposed that only pathologists could identify them. When they came to a place a body had been dumped, Olson would reenact how the murder took place. The police would then call and release the required amount of money. The lawyer would first deposit it in the Bank of Montreal in downtown Vancouver, but would later transfer it offshore to protect it from the police seizure.
How could the police seize it if it's a legal agreement between the Crown Prosecutor?
Just in case, maybe they're just covering all their bases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because fuck him. That's why.
In between showing the police where bodies were, Olson and the police dined at local steakhouses. This is a weird little
So now this
detail.
I have an issue with, yes.
Where the murderer would scarf down thick sirloin steaks and baked potatoes.
See, I mean, they've already agreed to pay him the money for the... So, I mean, feed him whatever the fuck you want. Shit in a plate and make him eat it, because...
But then he's not going to show you the bodies.
Yeah.
Well, then he doesn't get paid. Fuck him. He already showed them a lot of these bodies at that point in time.
Some of them. This is just in between, right?
Yeah, this is in between. I get
Going
what's
to
in
different
between.
sites.
I don't know. I think you just need to like really beat people more in that regard.
Well, we don't know. We don't really know too much about his like home life, like growing up and everything. Maybe
I just
he
mean like
was.
as a police officer, like, you know, he's like,
How about you give me that nice, delicious steak and I'll tell you
it's like, how would I ram my fucking fist through the back of your throat and then you tell me, and then he'll be, oh, okay, well, yeah, I guess I won't eat steak.
But he's a psychopath, though. I don't
But
think he
you
would.
do that, and then like maybe he gets off because of.
I don't know. I think Batman has a really great record.
Wow.
Well, that's because
But
he's
really,
not an officer.
Yeah, he can do what he wants.
See, but I mean, who's gonna tell? Who's gonna be like, this police officer's been really mean to Clifford Olson, this child rapist and murderer?
Well, Clifford Olson would, and if he's got the bruises to prove it, then
Fucking phone book him. Just strap a phone
Sack
book
of oranges.
to his chest and fucking just start wailing away. Doesn't leave a bruise, but they still feel everything.
like there was like they talk about the footage of them excavating stuff, so there's probably cameras
Yeah.
on him, or his lawyers there. Like they wouldn't be able to get away with that and jeopardize. I'm sure they wanted to. Like
yeah.
it would have been so tough to drive around with that smug asshole.
Oh, I know, exactly.
Like, yeah.
Where are you, Batman?
Why aren't you in Canada?
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Olson kept many trophies from his victims to remind himself of each child's suffering. To him, the mementos validated his kills. So then Olson was in prison for a while, and he had the balls to complain. While in prison awaiting the trial, Olson was the topic of conversation in every courthouse, police station, and jail in the province. He would often call reporters to brag about the deal he struck and complain about how he was mistreated while in prison. The other prisoners tossed garbage and lit cigarettes at him. They shoved him when they passed him. While his clothes were in storage, someone ripped the buttons off his suit and wrote "baby fucker" on his shirt. Olson had this to say.
Oh, this will be a good one.
That suit cost $200. The shirt, $60. I don't have to put up with that kind of shit. A kind one should have fair treatment from the press. I want to be segregated from other inmates. I have to sleep on the floor. I have to live like a dog. I got no running water. I got no light myself. I'm locked up 22 hours a day. I got 1 hour exercise in the morning. Olson's whining.
Oh, wait, that's where it ends.
Starts talking about himself in the third person.
Holy. Olson's whining caught the front page of several news outlets, but no one in BC would report on the deal. And it came down to the trial being cancelled by Olson's guilty pleas. This is where he's got some acting going on, I'm pretty sure. He wiped away tears as he confessed to the murder for the first time. After the 11th and final first-degree murder charge was read, Justice Harry McKay said, "You want to do a judge voice?"
Oh, I can do a judge voice. Oh, I just gotta find out where No punishment a civilized country could impose would be adequate. You should never be granted parole for the remainder of your days. It would be foolhardy to let you live at large, sir.
That sounds sort of like Adam West Batman. That's awesome.
In the vehicle that transported him away to serve his sentence, Olson told the officer that if he ever gained his freedom, quote,
I'd take up where I left off.
I take up where I left off. In case that was too quick. Just two quick hiccups.
I got a thing from it that says, well, actually, you're going to have to read that.
It's gonna be.
Is this an Olson quote?
Yeah. So I can never be released. So it starts with Peter, I can never be released.
Peter, I can never be released. If I was, I'd kill again. Don't know why, but I would. I'd have executed me if I was one under there.
Oh, Jesus. When the information was disclosed about the Cash for Bodies deal broke to the public, then Attorney General Alan Williams came into some hot water. No matter what he tried to tell the public, words could not disguise the reality of that the government paid for a conviction. Across Canada, people were disgusted in the news. The families of the slain children were outraged. Sigmund Wolfsteiner said, "You want to do voices for them? These are the
There
parents."
shouldn't be any justice. There shouldn't be any money paid to that creep. The guy who killed my daughter takes $100,000 from the government. It's ridiculous. You call that justice?
Raymond King, who lost his son, said,
That's salt in the wound for us.
"It's on the wound for us." Yeah. Many people accused Joan Hale, Clifford's wife, to have known about all of it and was in on it the whole time. When the families attempted to legally compel her to return the money, she said,
It floors me that anyone would think that I had anything to do with it.
"Why does she?"
I cried a lot, and then I got back to money.
Okay. Too much.
He's just going through his Batman voices.
This isn't where you get to practice Batman at home. This is a woman.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do it in a woman's voice. Okay.
It floors me that anyone would think that I had anything to do with it. I cried a lot at first. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't think too much about it now. I'm glad the children are buried. Oh, I hate him. I hated him for the night he held a knife to my throat. He terrorized me, scared me, beat me. There was no one I could turn to.
The court let her keep the money. That sounded like something from like Darkwing Duck or something.
Or DuckTales.
Or DuckTales, any of those.
DuckTales.
There's a thing here. After Olson pled guilty, he wrote lengthy accounts for each of his 11 murders, some of them 50 pages long, with minute details of how he persuaded victims into his car with excruciating graphic details of what he did to them. Olson embargoed them to remain unread until his then-year-old son, Stephen, was 21. I guess you got to do this one too.
And who is it?
It's Clifford Olson.
Clifford Olson. Yeah.
It's the I want them.
I want them. Okay.
Up near the top.
Up near the top. Some with his card. Yeah, Olson. Stephen was. I want these.
Yeah.
I want these left for my son, so he'll better understand his dad. Talk about being sick.
That's it. Just that one sentence.
I hope his son never got those.
Oh, fuck, no doubt. And if he didn't read them, just burn them.
Yeah.
So he left documents for his son, and he wanted to give them to him.
No. To him, those are bedtime stories.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just recounting the details of all my grisly murders, and just read them over. You'll get me, son.
Look how famous your son or your dad was.
Just a little bonding.
Well, I mean, he is a psychopath, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's just how psychopaths think.
All right. So even after Olson was locked away for the rest of his life, he continued to harass the police, his victims' families, and the public. I'm gonna burp. Just a warning. He claimed to have murdered as many as 30 others, but was never able to substantiate these brags, and even led investigators on a wild goose chase. So they let him out to show him a place that.
But he was
didn't
just
exist.
fucking around.
Yeah. Olson sent vulgar greeting cards to the parents of his victims, describing the atrocities he committed to their children.
Like that, just.
That's the salt in the wound.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
He also sent pornographic letters to members of parliament.
That
I
makes me
tried
laugh.
to look for them. I wanted to know who they were, like, directed to. Who was in power back then?
John Critchin.
Were they
In
drawings?
80?
He wouldn't have been prime minister then, but he would have been.
But he would have been there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. The top forensic psychiatrist, Stanley Semrau, interviewed Olson. He said,
He can kill, not out of anger or bitterness, but in a light-hearted was as a sport. He doesn't even grasp the enormity of the horror of what he has done. His is a personality which is devoted to exploiting and harming other people in his own interests.
oh, perfect. I was hoping like a mad scientist voice for it.
We were on the same wavelength.
Yeah, definitely. Semrau described Olson as an antisocial, narcissistic psychopath who boasted about his murders. He called him a
Master manipulator.
who exhibited homo and heterosexual pedophilia, sexual necrophilia, and sexual sadism. Olson described...
Just stop there. Is there non-sexual necrophilia?
I mean,
I wouldn't think so.
How?
But that's what it said.
platonic necrophilia.
Which isn't about the
We're
sex.
just friends.
They had the thumbs up position prior to death. That's a yes in my books.
Oh, God. I just feel like I said God and Jesus so much during this episode. I've been waiting for this one. Olson described with delight his sexual assaults of 30 to 40 children of both sexes, aged 5 to 10. He also boasted about upwards of 100 teenagers, aged 16 to 18. He said he became addicted to murder and had an
Incredibly more fascination.
incredibly morbid fascination with how children went through the process of dying.
A thing about Olson is he was never actually convicted of a sexual crime. He was accused of several, including actually a teenage inmate while he was in prison at one point.
Would there not have been DNA at any of these locations? Like anything that would have linked him?
There would have been, but this would have been way too early. This was the early 80s.
They didn't have blood typing or anything like that based
They would
off
have had
of
blood
like,
type, but
they had well, yeah, we know they had blood
Yeah.
typing at that point in time. To the point where they could have narrowed it down and been like, that this was probably Clifford Olson. But I guess not. I don't know if he was.
Well, he goes. I have another quote for you here.
yeah, we got to do this all the time now. We'll have to do a run through it right before we record.
Olson claimed he didn't know why he killed.
I don't know, Peter, why I killed some, but let most of them go.
He once said.
It bothers me because I didn't have to kill anyone. No kid ever turned me in.
That's true. Checking his record, Olson averaged a rape or sexual abuse of a young person every day. The RCMP were oblivious.
Jesus. Well, luckily, this made me happy at the end of the writing it. Luckily, on September 21st, 2011, it was released that Olson was dying of cancer, with only days or weeks to live. And on September 30th, 2011, Canada's first recorded serial killer, the Beast of BC, died.
I got a thing that happened at one of his parole hearings.
Yeah.
Clifford Olson sat in a bulletproof prisoner's box during an early release hearing, holding a collage he had fashioned out of photos from magazines, which were about the only thing he was allowed in his cell at the time. If you can sort of picture advertisements for infants and toddlers, what he did was cut a series of these advertisements out and he scotch taped them together in pornographic poses. On one of the days when he came into court, he sat in the prisoner's dock and held them up over his head so that the family members could see them.
Check out my cutouts.
He was like the ultimate troll.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
He just did everything he could to aggravate people. And
He first does terrible things, and then instead of just sitting behind a computer being a little bitch, he does the even worse things to the family. Well, no, even worse things, but
Yeah, continues on with the
continues
evilness.
to torment them.
perhaps if computers existed in the capacity they did now,
Maybe he would have been happy.
He would have been a keyboard warrior instead.
Yeah.
Just happy shitting on people's YouTube videos.
This sucks. Where's the art?
Just going on there. This stuff's shitty. Just jerking off the whole time. That's what every troll's doing. Come on.
Jerking off to negative comments.
No, they're doing the comments and they're jerking off like on South Park. They kind of
Typing with one hand.
So he died of cancer in 2011.
Colon cancer.
yeah.
Ooh, the good one too.
For him,
Well,
yeah.
I don't think that's the good one. I think I don't know. What's the most painful form of cancer?
I've heard colon cancer is one of them,
Yeah?
actually.
Oh, perfect. I think pancreatic would probably suck, since that tends to like spread without you knowing, and then you're just fucked.
Yeah.
But maybe that one's not as bad because it's spreading when you
So did
don't
they-
know it, so you don't have as much pain.
Did they attempt to put him through any radiation therapy or anything like
I'm
that?
sure they had to. Because they've got to keep you healthy and safe while you're in jail. So I'm sure he
Yeah.
would have got treatment.
I'm glad it didn't work.
Well, no, actually, one of the articles I read, he actually went into remission at one point.
Oh, really? And
yeah.
God's like, fuck that.
Let me try this again. He's setting up a shot, like a pool shot. Let me try this again.
No remission for you.
That was Jesus' shot. He almost got it. Well, we've had a lot of fun today.
It's been a up and down roller coaster.
Yeah,
It was good to be back.
it is good. Yeah, it felt good. I was real excited once all the creative stuff started coming to me. It just started rolling.
The creative juices started flowing.
Creative juices. It's not my semen, Jesse. I see that look on your face.
Face, neck, and chest, and crotch apparently.
Oh yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. The juices. Oh, we forgot to bring up the psychopathy test,
Oh yeah.
and we all took it.
Yeah,
And Jesse got 45 of 45.
You guys are lucky to be alive.
We are. I feel like if
How
we
did you
had
score,
more-
Sean?
I think I only got a 2. I say only like it's a bad thing.
Well, the
was
ones
a-
that I sent you guys, it wasn't the 45 question
okay.
one.
No, you sent us some small like little blurbs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple different ones, and yeah, both tests I scored higher than you guys on them.
Did you take the 45 question one?
No, I
Did you?
couldn't find
Oh,
that one.
okay.
I looked through several
They don't
things
have
looking
it
for that.
available to the public, I guess.
Not that I could find.
I took that one that had the question or whatever. Too bad we didn't have that right now.
Well, I remember what it is.
Do you?
So, a girl is at her mother's funeral. She sees a guy, falls madly in love with him. She doesn't even know him, and then she murders her sister a week later. Why did she kill her sister?
Yeah, what was your answer, Sean?
Just wait. Pause the podcast right now if you want to try to figure out before we give it away. All right, you're back, and we're back. I couldn't even think. Like I definitely didn't come up with what the answer was.
Nor
That's
did
for
I,
sure.
no.
I said. Actually, I don't remember what I said.
See what I feel?
I think it was more of like a. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
same
think
time-
I could come up with anything for it.
The real answer to this question, the one that makes you a psychopath, also seems like the most critical answer you could do as far as critical thinking
Like,
skills go.
it's logical.
Yeah, it is.
The
It's
one
very
that'll-
logical.
Well, sort of logical.
It is, because I was thinking, I thought, like, okay, well, so she kills. I mean, did her sister at this funeral also have an affair with this guy? Did she have a relationship
No.
with this guy?
Or was she jealous of like that they both liked it and she wanted
Yeah,
to knock off
yeah.
her sister?
But the answer.
Yeah, there we go. I thought you were giving the answer.
No,
I'm like,
that's not the answer.
The answer was to see if the guy would come to her sister's funeral.
Yeah.
And I
not
didn't
come
get
up with
that.
I've had that question twice and fucked it up both times. So, or
Now-
I not fucked it up.
And like once I read the answer, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it does. That makes perfect sense.
except you don't know for sure that he's going to show up to that one or not.
it would have just been simpler to go, "Hey, my name
Yeah.
is Sally."
So I think we all lost that one, and then there
Yeah.
was the one that actually gave us a score, and I think I got a 3, Sean got a 2, and
I got a 4.7 or
Yeah.
something.
I don't know if they do points.
No, 'cause it was the next one. I got a 27 or something, and
Oh.
that wasn't out of 45.
It's not that one.
Let's hope not.
But yeah, regardless, both tests that I sent out, I got the highest out of all three of us.
At the same time, I feel like if you're smart enough, you could, and you know which way they want you to lean with these questions. And in the case of somebody like Karla Homolka, I think you totally doctor it to make it like play out in your favor.
That's why I'm pretty sure the 45 question thing isn't set up like that. It would be like reactions to the questions might just be different, and you're just looking for a certain type of answer.
Yeah.
So it's probably not, oh yeah, this is how I feel when I get angry or whatever. I don't, but yeah, I guess never having read it, you wouldn't know.
Every question kind of has like a given answer. They're like, oh yeah, okay. Well, if I answer this, they might think I'm a psychopath, and if I answer the other way, they might think I'm not a psychopath.
It might be done in a far more conversational thing, and it's not. You don't know you're being tested.
You're saying that they bring up the questions through conversation.
Yeah,
and you
like
don't know
it's
you're hitting
not just like
points.
we're just gonna give you a psychopathy test. Just do your best, answer truthfully.
What if it is like that?
When I was answering those, I was like, am I answering them right? What if what I think is the right answer is actually the wrong one?
Oh, I could see where it was going just
I
by
could too, yeah.
But I answered them truthfully.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of it, one of the quizzes, there was three answers, yes, no, or maybe, and then there was the next one, there was 5. It was sort of yes, strongly, mildly, neutral, and then strongly, mildly. It's the opposite way. I fell middle of the road on a few of them, so my answers or my score could be skewed.
Yeah, I had a couple middle ones too. Or a few, actually.
But if you wanted to not answer, like if we weren't being interrogated, obviously we would just be like, you know what, I strongly disagree with everything. I am perfect.
I totally feel emotion. I feel bad when I do things.
I feel so much emotion.
All I do when you guys aren't looking is cry.
I just missed it.
Bad things happen in the world, guys, and I feel bad about it.
I tell you what, there's some bad stuff going on out there.
I didn't do any of it, though.
I swear.
So I guess the unique thing about this Clifford Olson case is that, well, I wouldn't say unique because we have faced the Shelbrook massacre happened prior to us being born too as well, hey?
Yeah.
And this was another one in that case.
That one wasn't a serial killer, though.
No,
A mass
no, it was just a
murder.
Mass
massacre.
murder,
Yeah. But I guess that's too, like, Canada's not very old. And so this was the first. Who was the first Canadian serial killer?
They refer to him as the first Canadian serial killer.
Do they refer to him as the first Canadian or the first Canadian from BC?
I believe it's the first Canadian.
First one in history of Canada or whatever. At least recorded. Maybe
Canada's first recorded. Oh, you're right.
maybe
Canada's first
there was
recorded serial
some
killer.
that never got caught.
Oh,
Who
there
knows?
probably was, actually.
And if there's still women going missing on the highway
Oh,
of
I
tears,
know,
I
yeah.
guarantee you that
There's going to be
still one out there.
There's going to be more serial killers, obviously, that pop up. And yeah, somebody's running those highways and
Yeah.
picking up women. And so I mean, who
20
knows?
years.
Well, and
years or
that's
something like that.
like especially for Aboriginal people, like it,
Yeah.
there could be in Saskatchewan, like the missing murdered
Oh, it's almost a
Indigenous women and
guarantee.
girls.
Yeah.
It's crazy high statistics.
Oh, yeah.
So that case will never run out of material, I guess, because there's always going to be some psychopath.
That's pretty sad, actually.
Well,
Well, we can do like normal murders. There's enough information. I wouldn't mind.
oh yeah. Well, we have done normal murders.
Yeah.
Just, like
I wouldn't mind getting into that one sometime of that gang shooting where they shot up the wrong house.
Oh yeah.
the white boy posse.
And there's new stuff on that now, so
Oh
because the guy was just charged with more murders or convicted of more murders.
well, they were a
Something,
hit
yeah.
squad, so that's not surprising.
Yeah.
Worst hit squad ever, by the way.
They don't even know their targets.
No.
Well, they weren't from Saskatoon. Cutting that.
Cut those criminals some slack. They should wear slacks. They're more comfortable than jeans. There, I said that.
I don't even own a pair of sweats.
I love sweats.
I have 2 pairs of sweats.
Every day I get home,
You put
and
on
I
sweats?
get into sweats.
It's shorts for me.
Yeah.
Shorts, really?
Yeah.
Even now?
Yeah, well, if I didn't have to wear pants, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I smoke, so I go outside every now and then. Don't want to put on pants every time. Otherwise, in summer, yeah, it's shorts all the time.
You guys disgust me.
I have to show off these sweet fucking calves, man.
For those who can't see them, just picture Mount Everest on the back of somebody's leg.
Basically.
He's like the Incredible Hulk, but only in the calf region.
Yeah, it's the only spot on my body I've never had to work out. But then the rest is like this fucking rectangle thing I got going on.
He's
Just
a
like square.
He's a refrigerator body with Mount Everest calves.
Dad bod since 96. When I was like 10.
I think I've been permanent dad bod.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? Next time, what do you guys want to do for next one? I was thinking we should do like a recap of some of the ones.
The update version?
Yeah, like Ryan has some information on, I think, the Carla Homolka since she's been out.
Ah.
Okay.
And he wants to sit in.
Cool.
So
So do you want to tackle a recap of like every case updates?
we'll just do whatever ones we can.
There's probably not going to be much about the Shell Lake Massacre.
Yeah,
not at this point.
No, I got a little bit of like a couple stories from David Milgaard's case, the very first one.
I forget. There was a couple that I had something, but I totally forgot. I'd have to go through and
Yeah,
look again.
yeah, we could just have a fun one next time, even. Just,
We could definitely do that
talk.
for sure.
because
If
it's number 10. We made it to 10.
We did. Was this
Double
episode 10?
digits.
This is 9.
Oh, this is
Next
next
one.
one.
Okay.
Would be 10.
That's why the next one would be like the
big
Gotcha.
one.
yeah.
Oh, I also have a reading recommendation for this podcast. Any comic book fans, check out The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. It's probably my favorite comic book series. But in the second graphic novel, The Doll's House, there is a serial killer convention and they discuss the Clifford Olson case a little bit.
Nice.
And just the Sandman's awesome and totally worth reading. Like literally some of the best literature I've ever read.
What do you think 4 serial killers in a room would do? Do you think they'd kill each other?
No, they would totally just sit there and talk about. They would try and
they just fucking jerk off
They'd
while they
boast. Yeah.
yeah.
boast.
It'd be trying to assert
fixated
their.
on jerking off apparently today. That's the second time I brought it up.
Do you want us to leave?
Yeah. You guys just head out right after
maybe.
this?
Yeah,
I think they'd probably find a way to like work together at that point. I don't know.
They'd swap stories and probably share ideas, and it would be
they
horrible.
would become the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
I'm sure that happens on the internet,
Feels like-
actually.
Oh, it probably does.
With the dark web and all that shit. I'm sure there's some weird shit out there.
What 2 serial killers would you want to see like an interview, like one interviewing the other?
Oh, anybody interviewing Charles Manson.
That would be pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, but that'd just be nonsense.
Oh, exactly. But it would be fucking amazing to watch.
So who else is just as nonsensical that would just be like, what? Or you could put somebody that's completely nonsensical with somebody who's completely logical, like Ted Bundy interviewing Charles Manson.
He was just like, what the fuck, man? How did you get so much notoriety? But I guess Manson's not a serial killer, though.
No.
He's not even a killer,
He's
technically.
he's what like a puppeteer.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He was the original Jim Henson.
Jim Henson was around before him, I think.
All right.
But you know,
Cool.
I mean, in that sense
Got
of
nothing.
in the sense of saying that Charles Manson isn't a killer, then neither was Hitler, right? Because Hitler didn't actually physically kill anybody, minus rumors of his cousin at one point in time.
Yeah, or had her killed.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no actual evidence supporting that. But for people as evil as Charles Manson and Hitler, they were like you said, the puppet masters. They were they were holding the strings, but they didn't actually pull any of them. They just let the other people do what they needed to do.
Well, they did pull them when they're like, go kill them.
Well, I mean, but in a sense, it's just like you put them on the strings and then you indoctrinate them and you just tell them exactly what they should be doing, but you don't stand there and point. You just tell them.
But
"Hey, these
like
people are
Charles
evil."
Manson totally did. He's like, go to whatever 36 Cicelo Drive and kill everybody in there, make it as gruesome as possible.
Okay, well, fuck me then. Fuck me then, right?
There's a podcast.
Bugger you.
There's a podcast based. I think it's called either Young Charles Manson or Young Manson, and it's actually pretty good. It goes like leading up to him
To the
becoming
Manson family?
Yeah, the age of infamy for him.
Neat.
Was that considered a cult? Did they consider the Charles Manson thing a cult? What was their
I
name?
think technically it would be.
They were the Manson family.
Is that what
Even
they
he
were?
called they even called themselves the family.
The family is what they went by.
Do-do-do-do.
So he was a cult. He was a cult leader then, right?
Yes.
In that sense.
the Manson family.
Well, because like he called himself the Son of Man, and his last name being Manson totally helped that.
That worked out well.
Yeah.
No, I know a little bit about Charles Manson, but I have not followed his career at all.
Well, you should check out that podcast.
Well, I can lend you Helter Skelter if you want to.
See, I've heard of that. Like, I don't. I saw an interview with him, and he made no fucking sense. And I said, I'm done with you, Charles Manson.
There's so much hope for you. So that's it. Episode 9 in the books.
We'll see you guys in.
Anybody want to do some plugs? Like for Facebook and everything?
Well,
Check out
Check out-
Canada's Crawl Space on Facebook and
well, I mean,
Instagram.
if you're listening to this, you're already there, so that doesn't help us.
Well, SoundCloud.
Tell your friends,
Subscribe,
your family.
rate, and review on iTunes.
Tweet it out, share it out.
Yeah, we should make it Twitter.
We don't have a Twitter?
I don't know. 'Cause
I don't even know how to use Twitter.
Yeah, I don't like Twitter very much at all.
Yeah, I have an account that gets used 3 times a year, maybe.
I think I have 34 followers, and that built up over like 4 years.
I don't know.
So I
if
clutch onto those 34. Like they're nothing.
if anybody leaves,
They hear from me
I'll
once a year,
kill myself.
and I get 0 likes or retweets or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Twitter, Instagram, all that shit seems like redundant when you have Facebook that does all of that. In
Actually,
one platform.
Instagram is getting more like
but it's
popular
Facebook.
than Facebook.
It's fucking Facebook.
No, it's picture book is what it is.
Yeah. Well, Facebook is supposed to be picture book. It's fucking Facebook. It literally has like a face in the title, like, and then you have people that have profile pictures without their face, and it's like you are going against everything that Facebook stands for.
I don't. There's like
Jesse.
8 pictures of me on Facebook, and that's
You are
it.
the problem, Jesse.
I'm all right with that.
All right, well, try to stay alive till next time.
Please. And now you know.